Well, Fifine is at it again, this time with a new mic called the Tank 2. When Fifine Microphones reached out and asked if I would be interested in reviewing another new mic called the Tank 2, I got really excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've reviewed several Fifine microphones and I've always been impressed by the quality of the mic that they can produce at the price point at which they sell it. And if you're interested in any of those video reviews that I've done on these microphones, I will put links to those in the description below. But the second reason I was excited about reviewing this particular microphone, the Tank 2, is because I've already reviewed two of their mics, one called the Tank 3 that you can see here, and the Tank 1, which you can see here. These two microphones have very similar builds, very similar looks. So when I looked at the Tank 2 and I saw this, I thought perhaps there may have been a mistake because any mic in the Tank line I assumed would look something like this. But let me tell you this, I am very glad it's not. I was excited about a pretty classic looking microphone in the Tank 2. In just a minute, we'll get this mic plugged in so you can hear what it sounds like. But before we do that, I want to show you some of the features about this mic. First of all, it's a pretty classic looking mic that you would maybe see a vocalist use or a PA announcer or someone like that using a mic like this. So I was really excited about it for that reason. I don't have any mics that have this style, that have this look. It is a dynamic microphone. You can see right here on the front of the mic, it has a switch. Down position, there's going to be a light that's red. That means it's muted. Push it up, it's going to turn green, and that means the mic is live and it's good to go. Now, if you look at the bottom of this microphone, it is a combo mic like the Tank 3, meaning it has an XLR jack and a USB-C plug-in that you can connect directly to your laptop or use the XLR to connect to an interface. It also has a headphone jack and a volume rocker. I'll tell you about that in just a moment because there's something specific you need to know that I didn't know initially about this volume rocker. So let me get this plugged in and we'll talk more about the Fifine Tank 2. The audio you're hearing now is coming from the Fifine Tank 2, as you can see directly in front of me. It's plugged in via USB-C into my MacBook Pro, recording in Logic Pro. And as I monitor this back through my headphone output on my MacBook Pro, I think the quality of the sound is quite nice. It's got a pretty rich, deep tone about this mic that I really like, but it doesn't lack a lot of clarity either on the high end. So you can hear the sibilance, enough of the sibilance to really get a sense of the pronunciation of words that and the clarity that sounds nice on your ears without being too harsh. Now, while I have this plugged in via USB-C, let me share some of the features that I like about this microphone and some of the accessories that it comes with that I think will really come in handy. Number one, it comes with a desktop or a tabletop stand, which is fantastic because for someone like me that uses a lot of mics like this, the Tank 3 and the Tank 1 and some other Fifine mics and some other mics, I don't have a traditional microphone that looks like this, which means I don't have a microphone clip to clip it into. So the fact that the Tank 2 comes with the tabletop stand with a traditional mic clip that you can just snap it into place is fantastic. I do love that. It also comes with this little windscreen pop filter that you can stick on the end. Let me put that on so you can hear what it sounds like. I imagine it will take down a lot of the plosives. It will take away a lot of the plosives and the sibilance, so at least to my ears, I'm not hearing the S's quite as much or the P's quite as much. So it does a pretty good job there. I do like that feature. It comes with the USB-C cable that also has a USB-A to USB-C adapter on the other end of it. So depending on the ports you have available on your home computer or your laptop or tablet or whatever you're plugging this thing into, you can plug it in via USB-A or USB-C. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a headphone monitoring jack on the back of this mic, which is pretty standard for USB microphones anymore. It's a way to monitor your audio through your microphone with zero latency. So you can take even the audio coming through your computer, route it through this mic so your headphones can be plugged in. You can hear yourself and you can hear a mix of your audio, your computer audio with your own voice. So I do love that. But as I mentioned, I'm not monitoring through that port right now, which only works, by the way, when you have it plugged in via USB-C. It doesn't work when you have it plugged in via XLR into an interface. You'll have to monitor a different way, which again, we'll talk about in a moment. And it does have a volume rocker on the back of it. And the volume rocker I love it and I dislike it for different reasons. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I like it now, and I'll tell you a little bit later why I don't. It monitors or it adjusts the volume of the audio coming out of your computer. It's a little tricky for another reason, which we'll get to in a moment. Let me plug this in via XLR and we'll take a listen and I'll tell you a little bit more about the mic. Now what you're hearing is the same Fifine Tank 2 microphone with the windscreen on, plugged in via XLR cable into my Zoom H6, which you can see the cable plugged in here. I have unplugged the USB-C cable. It is getting a little crazy with all these cables on my desktop, but that's the nature of these review videos. So as you listen to this, as I hear this, it does sound a little bit crisper, maybe a little less on the low end that maybe I heard with the USB-C, but more presence in the mids and even in the highs. It does sound crisp. It does sound clear. I'm going to remove the windscreen because I have a hunch that as I talk into the mic, it's going to bring out much more of the highs and the sibilance that maybe could sound a little harsh. So give me a second. Let me pull this off. And now this is the Fifine Tank 2, also still plugged into XLR into my Zoom H6. And it just doesn't have the windscreen. And as I anticipated, it does sound a little hot. Like it's picking up a lot of high end. It's a little harsher on my ears, at least, running through the Zoom H6 and the headphone out from there into my in-ear monitors that I like to use here. So I'm going to go ahead. I actually can hear my breathing a little bit more in this mic because it's so hot, because it picks up so much. And I have my mic input on my computer turned way down, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. So I'm going to put this windscreen back on and we'll get back to this video. Now that I got the windscreen back on, let me share a couple of things about this mic that I don't think they're really big issues, but they're little hindrances to maybe how I thought I would use this microphone initially, and how it would change how I might use it going forward. Number one, the headphone output jack. As I mentioned, I'm not using it to monitor. You can't actually do that when it's plugged in via XLR like I have it now. But when I had it plugged in via USB-C, you can monitor for sure the volume out of your computer and you can monitor your own voice. The issue I had was there was no way to adjust the volume, at least that I could find, of your own voice coming through this mic. It was quite hot, it was quite loud, and I couldn't turn it down. My own voice anyway, I couldn't turn it down in my in-ear monitors. What I could do with that volume rocker, which I told you I'd return to, so here we are, is adjust the audio, the level of the audio coming out of my computer. So, if I was listening to music, I could adjust that. If I'm talking to a podcast, if I'm doing a podcast interview, talking to a co-host or a guest, you can control the volume of on their end coming through your computer with that. But there was no way for me to control my own volume coming through. Now that's a big issue for me because I want to be able to hear my guest or my co-host on a podcast without my voice overpowering theirs. Now I could monitor my voice through my computer, but it was also monitoring the direct input here. So I had a bit of an echo because there was a delay as it was coming through my computer. So for me, that was kind of an issue. The other thing with that volume rocker is it is sandwiched very tightly between the headphone output jack and the USB-C jack. And it was really difficult to get my finger in between those two when they were plugged in there and actually adjust the volume coming out of the computer. So I understand it's a small mic. There's not a whole lot of places to put it. Maybe put it on the side, perhaps. I don't know. Something to think about for the future. I do like the feature. I just don't think the execution of that feature on the end of this mic was ideal. Now, the reason I was really excited about this mic, let me go ahead and take it out of the clip here, is because it does have this classic microphone look. It It looks nice. It's high quality. It's an all-metal construction mic, which is probably why it is in the Tank lineup. A lot of the other Fifine microphones that I've reviewed are plastic. They're really lightweight. This one is pretty heavy duty. It feels good in your hand. It looks good to use, and it gives me a little bit more mobility to move around. So while I wouldn't necessarily do a podcast like this, you can move around with this mic and be a little bit more mobile as far as at least your XLR or the USB-C cable will allow you to move. So say you're doing an interview on site somewhere, you got this plugged into your laptop, and you're doing an event perhaps, you got it plugged into an interface into a recording system, and you can move around, do your interview, put the mic in front of somebody else. So you don't necessarily need two mics if you're using something like this to do a live interview. So I do like that. The challenge for me, because I was thinking I would use it that way, is the self noise of this microphone. While it does sound good, you can hear, as I tap on this, you can hear a lot of noise in the mic. So if you're changing your hand position, or you're switching hands, or you're handing it to somebody else, or even touching the cable, you're going to hear that come through the sound system. And that's quite a problem for me because that can be very distracting. So while I thought I might use this as a handheld mic, I don't think that's a really good option for this mic. I do think, again, it's a quality microphone that sounds good. Excuse me while I get this set back up here. Let me get this back in the clip. So that's the Fifine Tank 2 in a nutshell. The things that I really like about this mic, and the things that I think are a challenge to using this mic, at least in the way that I thought I would use this microphone. All that said, I do think it's a high quality mic. It sounds good, at least through these monitors that I'm using, running through the Zoom H6 now, and even through my computer earlier. I do think the mic sounds pretty good. It's got good presence, it's got good low end, and just enough high end to be crisp and clear without being too harsh, unless, of course, as we demonstrated earlier, without the windscreen, with the XLR, it can be a little bit harsh. But use the windscreen, the mic looks good on camera, the mic sounds good. So if you are a streamer, or you're a podcaster, you just need a simple, inexpensive mic that's going to sound great for the video calls that you do, this is a quality microphone at a quality budget price that I would highly recommend you check out if you like the look of a classic style, vocal style microphone. Let me know what you think of the sound quality, the look, the style of the Fifine Tank 2 in the comments, and we'll talk in another video.